Thanks so much. Looks like I might not be able to jump on video here. I'm not sure if you're able to give me the video ability there on the back end, but super excited to be joining today and talking full funnel strategies here with Joe. I think the year 2024 brands are going to have a lot more coordinated efforts on Amazon, and I think last year, maybe last 2 years, brands really started moving beyond just Amazon sponsored ads and adopting more channels to drive traffic into their funnels. And I think this is the year where brands are really going to start having them coordinated and not siloed. And it all starts with the sales funnel here. And what I'm going to be talking through today is really more the middle of the funnel strategies and specifically Google Ads. And Joe's going to be coming in and talking about how you can coordinate your off Amazon strategy and your middle of the funnel channels with your on Amazon investments, whether it be retargeting, DSP, sponsored ads, and other options that he's going to go through. And I think it's interesting when you break down the sales funnel, it all starts at the top of the funnel, right? Creating awareness of your products. And we all know that it takes multiple touch points to get a customer to actually purchase your product. It's not just a search, find, buy anymore. People start at the top, they need to become aware of your product. Then they're going to go through that consideration and research phase where they're considering their options, whether it be features that meet their need, whether it be price point, whether it be how quickly can they get it, right? They're going to go evaluate their options. And then they're going to get to the bottom of the funnel, the point of sale, credit cards in hand, they're ready to purchase. And it's so important for brands to have all these phases coordinated together and being present as consumers are going through this funnel. So starting here, kind of breaking this down section by section, phase by phase, Amazon ads and the bottom of the funnel. This is an area where Amazon sponsored ads has absolutely crushed it. It's obviously grown a ton in the last few years. You can look at Amazon's revenue numbers, and it's a very high producer for them. Brands rely on sponsored ads heavily, as they should, because it is the point of sale. The key metrics here for the bottom of your sales funnel is ACoS, right? It's your return on ad spend. And channels that you can invest in at the bottom here, sponsored ads for sure, brand ads, make sure you're protecting your brands. Recently, you're starting to see more and more sponsored display retargeting. So nurturing customers that have made their way to the bottom and making sure that you're getting them over the hump. And then brand tailored promotions came out this last fall. This is something I'm going to dive into a little bit more here in a few minutes, but brand tailored promotions are a great way to give a coupon to a customer at the bottom of the funnel who's ready to buy. They just need a little bit of a incentive to go ahead and pull that trigger. And brand tailored promotions are a great way to do it. The returns on those have been very, very strong early on since Amazon launched those. So now as you move up the funnel, away from the bottom of the funnel, you move into the consideration phase. And again, it's super important as consumers are evaluating their options. It's obviously very competitive. They're looking for different things that are going to meet their needs. And it's so important for brands to be relevant and available, findable at this point in the buying journey. Great channels to engage your customers during their consideration phase include Google Ads, sponsored display, where you can specifically target audiences, whether it be lookalike audiences or customers that have looked at your competitive products. So you can really be pinpoint targeted to make sure that as consumers are evaluating their options, you're pushing yourself in front of them. And then DSP contextual search is another channel that can be very effective at the consideration phase. Now, key metrics to evaluate the performance of your mid-funnel marketing initiatives include impression share. So how much of the market are you engaging? Clicks, are you putting an enticing ad out there to where you're actually driving engagement? And then add to carts. Add to carts is probably the most important metric when evaluating the performance of the middle of the funnel marketing, because as consumers are going through that consideration phase, if you get that add to cart signal from that customer, it means you put the right ad at the right time and they're seriously considering your product. Now, do they convert or not? That's dependent on the strategy that you have in place from that point forward. And this is where I'm super excited to talk a little bit more about some ways that you can do this, or I'll be talking about it, and Joe's going to be diving into it as well where how you can target using DSP and sponsored display to where when folks and potential customers enter at the consideration phase, maybe they don't purchase right away because they're still considering their options. How can you have a coordinated effort to stay top of mind and to make sure that when they do finally get to the point where they're ready to convert, you're there and you're ready to convert them? Now, moving up to the top of the funnel, we're not going to talk too much about the awareness stage of the buying journey today, but it is an important component when you think about your full funnel strategy. Channels here that you can leverage are DSP, specifically for prospecting. Think about this a little bit more as kind of pushing a billboard out in front of customers that probably don't know about your product at that point. You're going to create that awareness. The direct ACoS or return on ad spend is probably very low at this stage. And you'll notice that the KPIs to evaluate the effectiveness of this stage of the journey is impressions, cost per impression, clicks and page visits, and click-through rate to understand, are you putting an engaging ad out there? So DSP for prospecting, social, streaming TV are all channels and Amazon brands, with the help of Amazon attribution, are now able to really start to leverage to get customers into the funnel. And as you go through these and as you expand your marketing mix beyond sponsored ads, I would assume everyone here today is already investing in sponsored ads. That's where $1 really should go on Amazon. But as you start to expand beyond that, it's important to think about which channels are appropriate for your product, where are you trying to engage your customers, and then more importantly, if you are moving up the funnel, how do you make sure you're squeezing as much juice out of the traffic that's coming in here with a coordinated effort, coordinated strategy to nurture them throughout your funnel. So I want to talk about, in my part today, the middle of the funnel, and specifically Google Ads and when and why Google Ads is appropriate. So we like Google Ads because there's search intent, there's buying intent behind searches. Consumers have actively told Google they are looking for a specific something, right? And when we jump back to this slide, it's not awareness. Like awareness, you're pushing in front of stuff. Consideration, a customer is specifically searching for a black handbag or soft sheets or queen size sheets or something like that. And they're specifically telling Google what they're looking for. That means there's a good opportunity for you to then show your ad if you sell that product. Things that you'll want to evaluate before investing in Google Ads is to understand if there's reasonable cost per clicks for this. And what this means is if you sell like a $10 product and the CPCs, the cost per click on Google, look to be $3, you're likely not, it's likely too expensive for the product that you're selling. It's too competitive. But on the flip side, if you sell a $10 product and projected CPCs look to be 40 or 50 cents per click, which could very well happen on Google, all of a sudden there's enough delta to where a decent add to cart rate is going to mean that you're getting enough volume, enough high intent traffic into that middle of the funnel. And then third part is a nurture program. If you're injecting customers into the middle of your funnel at the consideration phase, but you don't have a nurture program in place to convert them, you're probably leaving meat on the bone. You're relying on just a good direct ACoS or a direct return on ad spend, which can happen at the consideration phase if there's high enough intent behind the searches. But you'll notice that the key metrics to really understand the effectiveness of this channel don't include ACoS or return on ad spend. It includes add to carts and your add to cart rate, right? So you want to make sure that if you are going to be investing in this, you have a coordinated effort so that you can inject customers, high intent customers into your funnel, and then you're going to have pretty good chance of converting them and nurturing them once they're ready to actually purchase your product. So let's go through a quick example here. If I'm selling this box, it's like a packing box, right, on Amazon, I want to first understand how are consumers searching for my product. So I'm going to go to Google. There's a solution called Google Keyword Planner. AMP has a keyword solution as well. But what you can do is you can understand what the search volume is for your product. So you want to go into Keyword Planner or use AMP's keyword tool and type in exactly what your product is. So in this case, this is a large shipping box. I typed in large shipping box, and what comes out is how many average searches on that specific term per month on Google, the projected bids. So it's going to be from 93 cents to 387. And then we're going to get some other similar and surrounding keywords. So just in a very quick search, I quickly understood that there's 4,000, 5,000, 1,300, 3,600. There's almost 15,000 searches per month on just a few keywords. Now, if I actually went and did even more research and spent a little bit more time on this, I'd probably uncover potentially hundreds of thousands of pretty high intent searches where people have clearly said, not only are they moving, but they know that they need shipping boxes, and they actually need large shipping boxes, big shipping boxes. And that's my product. So all of a sudden there's high intent, there's demand on Google. People are searching for my product on Google. I probably want to be showing up where people are searching for my product, as long as the cost per click is reasonable for the price of my product, or for the average order value of my product. So this product here, this could be, I don't know, a $5 box. But if I know that people usually buy 10 of them, all of a sudden my average order value is 50 bucks. I can probably, with a decent conversion rate and decent add to cart rate, I can probably afford to spend $2, maybe even $3, given the average order value of 50 bucks. Now, if I'm selling a product that has a lifetime value associated with it, to where, yeah, they're going to buy this box and then maybe in 6 months they're going to move again and buy another box. Maybe that happens, maybe it doesn't. Probably more relevant for supplements or something like that. Then you can start to think, okay, if there's a lifetime value associated with it, my CPCs could be even higher if need be. So in this example, there's high intent, there's a lot of searches per month, and the CPCs are reasonable. So that's checking off 2 of my 3 kind of components to determining, should I be advertising this product in Google? Should I be advertising with the middle of the funnel and engaging my customers during the consideration phase? So then the third component that I always like to do is just Google it, see what happens when I search for the keywords that are relevant, the keywords that I would want to show up for. And obviously very easy, just jumped over to Google and just typed in packing boxes to see what would show up. Now, usually what happens here is your competition's probably going to be there. And if they're there, oftentimes, unfortunately, a sign that you probably need to be there also. But then also you're going to see Amazon as well. And what happens here is usually this is Amazon themselves paying for this ad. There's a couple tricks to kind of sniff out who's actually paying for it. Sometimes it could be your competition. If you guys were to be bidding and investing in Google ads to Amazon, your ads would say Amazon and it would say Amazon.com. But the way to tell if it's a brand or Amazon paying for it is Amazon has very generic ads. So they'll say shop deals. Now your ad, you would never want to say shop deals because it's just so generic, right? And so in this case, I know right away before clicking on the ad that Amazon themselves is paying for this. And when Amazon pays for this, they take that traffic with usually a pretty decent CPC and they put it to a search result page on Amazon. And in this case, this happens anytime Amazon pays for it. Search result pages, as you guys very well know, is filled with sponsored ads. So sponsored brand ad, sponsored ad, sponsored ad, sponsored ad, sponsored ad. And what's interesting in these situations is oftentimes the clicks on Google are less expensive than the clicks on Amazon. So they'll get this for $1 per click. And every one of these clicks is $2 or $3 per click. So Amazon's actually arbitraging this traffic. But what you can do is if this is happening, you can actually replace this. So if I were actually selling packing boxes, I could start bidding on this keyword on Google. My ad would show up as Amazon.com. I would build a better quality ad using tools like AMP provides to build high quality ads. That will actually replace Amazon usually. You don't really compete with them because only Amazon.com can only show up one time on sponsored ads here. So it wouldn't be like Amazon would get it and then we would get it. One of our ads would win out. And because we can build the better ad, because we're going to be more targeted, we can build the ad, replace Amazon. So the next time when someone searches packing boxes, instead of going to a search result, they go straight to our Amazon branded store or our Amazon PDP page. So we can bypass that competition and make sure that we're showing up when customers are considering products like ours. So those are the kind of three things that I like to look for. First off, is there searches for my product, like very product specific searches? Are the CPCs somewhat decent? And then the third side of it is what happens when I Google it, right? And once I've evaluated those three, you're going to have a pretty good understanding of whether or not you might want to be advertising and investing in the consideration phase of your sales funnel. So now what? Now you need to have a coordinated strategy, because when you bring in customers into the middle of the funnel, they're in the consideration phase. They aren't quite ready to buy. That doesn't mean that they're not going to buy. It just means that they're still evaluating their options, and you might need a couple touch points in order to convince them to purchase your product. So there's a few ways that you can do this, and the brands that are leveraging Google Ads and any other middle of the funnel channel successfully have this system in place. And Joe's going to dive into it here in a minute and a little bit deeper. But the three things right now that I think are the most crucial for brands to be leveraging are brand tailored promotions, DSP, and sponsored display retargeting. Brand tailored promotions, I'm going to dive into, and then Joe's going to go deeper into the other two. But brand tailored promotions, Amazon launched in fall of this last year. So they've only been out for a few months now. But what it allows you to do is target specific audiences with a discount coupon code. So these are the audiences here: brand followers, repeat customers, so nurturing your current customer base, all bottom of the funnel initiatives there. So that the return, the direct return should be really strong. Recent customers, so again, trying to get them to purchase again, increase your lifetime value. High spend customers. And then 5 and 6 is where I think it gets really interesting. 5 is potential new customers. So people that have evaluated your brand, people that have landed on your product pages before and have not purchased. Now, all of a sudden, you can give them a coupon code that says, hey, we know you're new. Here's 10, 15, 20%, whatever you want to purchase our product for your first purchase. This is typical classic D2C marketing that you can now do on Amazon. So how this works with like a Google channel or anything else from the awareness to consideration phase of the journey is if you can get traffic into that page, now you can give a coupon to them to entice them to become a new customer of yours. And new customers, especially if you have a lifetime value, you want to be thinking more about cost per acquisition, because you know that they're going to purchase a little bit more. So if you give them the discount now, you can probably make it up later when they buy their second or third time, depending on how often your customers purchase from you. Now, 6 is something that makes even more sense, is abandoned carts. So now with brand tailored promotions, you can give discount codes to people that signal they want to buy your product, but they haven't quite converted yet. So jumping back up to our funnel here, as we were talking about, what are the key KPIs, the key metrics to evaluate the impact of the middle of the funnel? Add to carts, and your cart rate is such an important metric, especially coupled with brand tailored promotions, abandoned cart discounts, because if you can use Google Ads, if you can use DSP or sponsored display audiences to get customers in, and those customers are adding to cart, but they're not purchasing because they're still considering and evaluating their options, now you can give them that coupon code. You can give them a brand tailored promotion that says, hey, we know you liked our product. We know you haven't purchased yet. Here's a little something to complete that purchase. So brand tailored promotions, if you haven't leveraged them already, definitely encourage you to check them out. It's through Amazon. They're free to use. I put in quotes, free. Nothing's free. It's you still have to give the coupon, but you don't pay Amazon any commission or anything like that. It's just you're given the 10% or you're given the 15% coupon code, whatever coupon you decide to give, whatever discount you decide to give. So before I hand it over to Joe, if you are interested in Google Ads, if you haven't already tried Google Ads, quick shameless plug of what the AMP technology does here. As I was talking about creating good, high quality ads that can replace where Amazon is buying Google ads, you can use our software. Amped Create does that very well. Good quality scores, good ad strengths, and it's a flow and it's a system that creates the ads very quickly for you and spits out really strong ads that will usually replace Amazon ads on Google, to be very specific there. And then amped attribution, being able to connect the dots between a click on Google and an add to cart on Amazon or a conversion on Amazon. Our system automatically sets up the bridge there so you can see exactly what's getting the add to carts, what keywords, what campaigns are working the best to drive those add to carts and to drive that good traffic into the funnel, as well as conversions too. And then amped bidding, it's a really sophisticated modeling, probabilistic modeling, data science that enables you to get the best bid on your campaigns to try to maximize the efficiency and maximize how far your budget goes on Google Ads. If you're interested, give us a shout. You can reach out to us on our website. We'll probably have a call to action here at the end. But our system's built fully to make sure that if you want to invest in middle of the funnel marketing, if you want to inject good quality, high intent traffic from Google Ads, Amp's going to allow you to do that through our platform. So I'm going to go ahead and stop my share here and hand the keys over to Joe to talk about, once you get that traffic in, how can you have a coordinated effort to actually get them to convert when they are ready to?
Sounds great. Yeah, thanks, Tyler. And I'm not sure if you're able to add me as the host so I can start my video, but I can get going without that right now. So in this next section, what we want to cover is, if you drive the click from Google to Amazon, this can be a really solid strategy. But what makes the strategy even better is, now if you can kind of build that foundation where even if they don't purchase after that first click from Google, you can use other tools like sponsored ads, DSP, and other reporting like Amazon Marketing Cloud, where then you can draw those folks back in who initially clicked over but didn't complete that purchase. So what we'll focus on in this section is kind of completing the circle on going from amped from a Google ad to your Amazon product detail page, and then implementing retargeting, and then coming back to the Amazon product detail page, and then finally the purchase. And so many people, when they look at a sale, kind of look at this as a linear progression, but there can be a ton of different touch points overall. And so in this slide, what we covered is there's a couple different areas where you can see retargeting ads. So here's a couple examples. So with Amazon, you have a couple different options on how to run retargeting ads. And one is through sponsored display, and one is through Amazon DSP. And we'll cover some of the differences and the benefits for each option. But for this example, looking up the weather in Duluth, Minnesota, where we're based out of, you can see these retargeting ads. I'm sure you're all very familiar with these. And these are the ads that seem like they follow you around the internet after you click on product detail pages. And what we find after doing some studies is that to try to drive a purchase, depending on the product, you need multiple different touch points. And so we did one study where we looked at the number of touch points, what's the frequency that we need to show these ads compared to the cost per acquisition or the cost to add to cart. And what we found is that once we got to 9 impressions served per user, we saw this nice little trough where the cost per acquisition and the cost per add to cart actually went down. And that's because our conversion rates increased over that time. And so the key thing here is that you need multiple different touch points to try to drive to a purchase. And so Google to Amazon and using great tools like Amped can be that first part of the funnel. But then once they click on that product detail page, now what's some other tools that we can use to make sure that we're maximizing the value of those clicks? And here's just another study, kind of the same takeaway. This is detail page view rate. When we get to the 7 to 9 frequency, our purchase rate goes up overall. So again, just emphasis that it's not just a linear progression when people are going to buy your products. You need multiple touch points, and we need to build this foundation after the fact. So one key way that we can do this is just through a really solid sponsored ad funnel structure. And so if you're using strategies like Google to Amazon or driving other offsite traffic to your product detail page, you still want to make sure that you fully utilize sponsored ads. And the key reason is that maybe somebody clicks on your ad on Google, goes to your product detail page, and say they're not ready to purchase. Then they're cruising around the web, they're on their favorite news site, and they see another retargeting ad that shows your product. So in the back of their mind, that might trigger like, oh, I should probably go look for that product again. But maybe they don't click on the ad right then. Then they go back to Amazon because they knew they were looking for the product on Amazon, and that's where the ad led them, and do a general search. When they do that, you want to make sure that you've got sponsored ads set up to show your product top and center. So then they see your brand, they see your ad, they see your product, they're already familiar with it, and they click on that, and then they go to the product detail page. And so key thing, and I'm not going to go through all the details here, but when you're implementing offsite strategies to drive traffic to Amazon, one key thing is to make sure you've got that solid base built up. And that solid base is really going to be the combination of sponsored products, sponsored brands, and some sponsored display. Sponsored products is typically going to make up like 80% of that budget. So really focus there first. Then sponsored brands comes next, and then you can layer on sponsored display after that. So a couple other key foundational things so bid optimization is huge on the sponsored ad side. I'm not going to dig into that too much. We've talked about the funnel system and making sure that we're continually choosing the right keywords and the right targets. A couple other things are the reporting that we have and how we track this. And a key thing when you're looking at each of these individual strategies is not to look at the individual strategy itself, but to look at the full funnel overall with your advertising. And so what we want to do is be able to see what's the true return we're getting on our Google to Amazon advertising. So reporting is really big in tying all the pieces together to make sure you're not just focusing on a specific campaign, but you're looking at your advertising strategy overall. And then there's other cool things that we can do, so Amazon Marketing Stream, it's hourly data that Amazon's now releasing. You can use systems like we've got our software system called Streamline, where you can actually increase your bids when people are most likely to purchase. And it changes pretty dramatically throughout the day. And you can decrease your bids when people are least likely to purchase. And what this does is it allows you to save your overall advertising budget for just those times where people are most likely to purchase. And then you can let your competitors take over those ad spaces when people are least likely to purchase. Let them waste their ad dollars there. So then you can utilize your budget when people are most likely to purchase after a click. So one thing to definitely keep in mind as you're looking at the full funnel is what is the lifetime value of a new customer? And first, what we'll do is we'll kind of define what that means. And then second, we'll go through some different strategies on how we can try to maximize that. So lifetime value is the total value or the total revenue that you can expect from a new customer. And so where this really comes into play is if you have a product that has a really solid brand where you can drive cross purchases, or if you have a consumable product, say like a supplement where you're going to get repeat purchases, instead of just looking at the sales that you get from that initial sale, what you want to do is really incorporate what is the true lifetime value that I get from a purchase. And so this can really change the decisions that we make with our advertising when we're looking at different strategies like going from Google to Amazon. So one example where we really looked at this is we were working with a brand called True Niagen. And so True Niagen, they are a supplement and they typically get repeat purchases. So there's two different ways that you can look at your ads. And I'm just going to use this as a good example to kind of demonstrate how incorporating lifetime value in can have a major impact on how you look at your ad performance. So let's just use round numbers and we'll say the initial bottle of True Niagen costs $20. And we'll use other round numbers. And let's say that we spent $20 on our overall ads to drive a new to brand purchase. If I just looked at that initial sale, I spent $20 and I drove $20 in sales, I would see a 1x ROAS or 100% ACOS. And if we just looked at that individual ACOS, you could conclude that, hey, this was not a profitable sale. This was not a good strategy. We should definitely ramp down our ads. But let's also say that with True Niagen, if somebody buys that initial bottle, the average customer is going to buy another 4. And if that's the case, if somebody comes in, buys that initial bottle and 4 more, and they're $20 each, that's actually $100 in sales. And so now if I look and I say it cost me $20 in ad spend to get $100 in total sales, now my true ROAS that I got from that initial new to brand sale is 5x or a 20% ACOS. And so this is really the key piece to keep in mind when you're analyzing your overall ad results. And this is another key strategy to keep in mind as you're building up your products. If you can increase the lifetime value of that customer by either having products that are, say, consumable, or having products where you have different upsells, say different accessories, or if you have a really strong brand where you can cross-sell with different ads, this can all increase the lifetime value, and it allows you to spend more on your ads because now if you get that initial customer, they're going to be worth more to you overall. And so this is the ways that some of your competitors are able to spend more than when you look at it, you're like, how in the world are they spending this much? It's because they're maximizing the value after the sale. And that's how they're able to spend more on that front new to brand acquisition. So overall for this case study, saw some really good brand growth. We used a combination of DSP combined with a lot of reporting from Amazon Marketing Cloud. I can show you what that looks like in a second too. But from here, we were really able to analyze customer journey, look from different funnel areas and see, all right, what is the most effective way to get new to brand customer purchases? And from there, really build up and double down on those channels that work well. So some other ways that you can use Amazon ads to increase lifetime value. One is ASIN defense. And so this is a really fun strategy where what you do is with sponsored ads, you can just run product targeting and take all of your other products that you have and then target the other products that you have in your catalog. And so essentially what you're doing is if somebody clicks on my product detail page, I want that product to show up on my product detail page, but then I want all my other branded products to show up below. And two major benefits is you push off your competition. So if you spend all this time and money to get somebody to click on your product detail page, you don't want them clicking onto a competitor's page. And so it pushes them off. And the other major benefit is, say, maybe the initial, like in this example, maybe this type of Death Wish coffee wasn't what I was looking for, but I scroll down a little bit and I see some other Death Wish coffee flavors that I like better. And so I click on those and I end up purchasing that. And so this allows you to maximize that value of that click and that visit that you got to your product detail page. The key benefit is you only pay per click. So you can take up all this real estate from your competitors, and then you only pay when somebody clicks on it. And then if they click on it, it probably meant that that initial product wasn't meeting their needs, but hopefully your other product does. So really fun one. It's sweet when you can just push off your competition on a lot of your ads and scroll through that product detail page and not see so many of your competitors. Another way to do this is cross-promotional strategies. And this uses some of the same tactics that we just talked about for ASIN defense, But if there's some products that you have that are really good cross sales, this can be a great way to go to try to increase that lifetime value. So say I'm a fitness company and I sell running shorts. On there, I could also promote my running shirt and my running shoes. You can do this on the product detail page, but you can also do this through Amazon's DSP. So if somebody purchased my running shirt, now maybe I can advertise some of my running shorts and my running hat and my running shoes. And I can do this both on and off of Amazon. And so this is another way where once somebody comes in, they do that initial purchase, let's expand and try to drive more purchases overall. And then another key strategy is DSP repurchases or sponsored display. So with sponsored display repurchases or DSP, what you can do is you can set up to, once somebody purchases your product, then you can set up a time frame and say, now I'm going to show them ads to try to get them to purchase again. This works best on consumable products. With Amazon's DSP, we have a little bit more control, where what we can do is we can set a time frame. So say, for instance, with Death Wish coffee, say it typically takes me 2 weeks to go through a bag. I could time it out where now if nobody has come back and repurchased within that 14-day window, maybe I give them a couple extra days, but then at day 18, I start showing ads to remind them like, hey, come back and purchase from us again. Your coffee supply is probably running pretty low. And so it's just that extra little nudge that you're giving your customers to make sure that they're coming back. So for those of you who have heard of Amazon Marketing Cloud, just wanted to give you a little screenshot on what this looks like. The power in this is not necessarily in the user interface, but it's more in the results that you can get. So Amazon Marketing Cloud, it's this way that we can tie together sponsored display or sponsored ads and Amazon's DSP. And we can pull a lot of data that isn't currently available with standard reports. So some good use cases that we can utilize for this, it's looking at like path to conversion. So this can be a really fun one to kind of track what is the most effective path to conversion that we see. Maybe it's an Amazon DSP display ad going to sponsored ads. Or maybe we can see once somebody is sent to the product detail page from Google that now if we send a retargeting ad and we show a frequency 3 to 4 times, maybe up to 7 or 8, at that point, we're getting a solid return and we're driving more sales from that initial Google traffic. So Amazon Marketing Cloud, it's this extra tool that you can utilize to get a lot of these different metrics that are tough to get, and it combines data from different sources. So like new to brand is really powerful. You can even get like sponsored products new to brand, which is pretty cool. Geolocation performance, you can build upon all these different audiences. And one amazing thing with driving traffic from Google to Amazon is now you're building up this audience of people who have visited your product detail page. And then from there, we can retarget that audience, but then we can also build lookalike audiences to find other people like that who are interested enough to click on my ad and go to my product detail page. So then I can also serve them ads. So overall, lots of different ways that we can utilize Amazon advertising to try to maximize the value after we send traffic from Google to Amazon. So if you're utilizing this strategy and if you're utilizing Amped, I would just say make sure that you have that solid foundation on the Amazon side to totally take advantage of all that traffic and maximize the value of those clicks that you're getting from Google going to your Amazon product detail page.
Joe, that was super, super helpful. Thanks so much for going through that in such detail. One of the things that, or I guess two of the words that was sticking out to me there, and it's relevant to products that have repeat purchase rates, of course, but lifetime value is something that, I didn't hear being used a lot in the Amazon world 2 or 3 years ago when I kind of first got into it. My background's more D2C side, and we switched over into the Amazon world about 2 to 3 years ago. And D2C side, it's all about lifetime value. And the other word you mentioned was cost per acquisition. And it's so interesting to see. I think a lot of it's partially because Amazon's starting to pull back the curtain, but we're starting to hear that terminology creep into the Amazon world. And when you think about growing a company, getting a loyal customer base, those are such important metrics to be aware of. And the other one that you mentioned too is new to brand. And that metric, especially when you're starting to go off of Amazon and try to find customers outside of the walls of Amazon, new to brand is an important metric because a new to brand customer is you can spend more to acquire that than what you want to spend on a current customer, right? Because you know that they're going to purchase again in the future.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and so
Cool.
we've had a couple questions. I can run through a couple that we've got really quick. So one is Amazon Marketing Cloud available to all sellers? And the answer is not right now. The way to get access to Amazon Marketing Cloud right now is to be running Amazon's DSP advertising. The key thing to note is that if you go directly with Amazon, you're typically going to have pretty big budgets, anywhere from $20,000 to $50,000. To get around that, what you can do is partner with an agency that has access. So for example, like we would be one example of that. We can start DSP advertising for a lot lower cost. And that gets us access to Amazon Marketing Cloud, which gives us access to all this extra reporting that goes along with that. So just note, if you are really interested in getting access to Amazon Marketing Cloud, I would seek out a agency provider to help you out with that. And ideally, I would seek out one that can start with a lower budget from the start. This allows you to test it, but then this also allows you to get access to Amazon Marketing Cloud.
Great. I saw a question come in around repeat purchase rate and asking how do you find repeat purchase rate with Amazon not giving all that data. So there's ways to do it. And Joe, you might have more sophisticated ways, but Amazon rolled out a customer loyalty dashboard within Seller Central. And if you're interested in it and you don't know where to find it, just reach out to on our website's in-app chat and we can send you a link to how to get to it. But basically it starts to pull back the curtain on how often customers are coming back and buying again. So it starts to give you insight. It's not, to be perfectly honest, it's not as granular as I'd like it to be, but it definitely starts to help brands understand how much they can spend to acquire a new customer, because it gives insights into how often those customers end up purchasing again. Joe, I don't know if you have any tips and strategies beyond that, but that's where we've seen a lot of success is the customer loyalty dashboard.
Yeah. Another one is if you utilize Amazon Marketing Cloud, and we can tap in this with our Atlas reporting software. Right now, the key issue with Amazon Marketing Cloud is originally it didn't predate or date back the data far enough where it was really difficult to get lifetime value. They just recently made an update where now anybody who starts Amazon Marketing Cloud, meaning starts Amazon's DSP, the data is backfilled up to, I believe it's June of 2023. So now you get more data to be able to calculate lifetime value directly in Amazon Marketing Cloud, and you can segment that data too. So we now have much better tools to be able to measure lifetime value, which allows us to make much better decisions with our advertising overall.
Definitely. Another question I see here is, have you seen good results with brand tailored promotions? Yes and no. To be perfectly honest, from what I've seen good results. It's a low hanging fruit standpoint, and specifically the abandoned cart ones. The way Amazon rolled this out is it allows you to target anyone that's abandoned cart in the last 90 days. So when you go in there, you likely will see a pretty good audience size to give a coupon to. And people certainly use them, and it is a great way to entice customers back. The redemption rates have been lower than I would have expected. Coming from the D2C world, as a consumer, you've probably gone to a website like a D2C site, add something in your cart, and then left. And very quickly, you probably see an email in your inbox with 10 or 15% off. So it's the brand tailored promotions is modeled after that. Redemption rates on D2Cs are very, very high. On Amazon, we see them very low. And mostly that's due to you give the coupon to customers, but a lot of the customers or potential customers don't actually know they have a coupon available to use. From our understanding is you only actually know as a consumer that you have that coupon if you find your way back to that page. So the brands that we've seen have the most success have a coordinated effort to where they have brand tailored promotions turned on so customers can use them, but then they are using coordinated efforts like Joe just walked through to get display ads and retargeting to draw that customer back in. I
Yep.
do think long term Amazon, yeah, I'll let you jump in here, Joe, but I do think long term Amazon will provide more functionality to actually alert the customer, whether it's maybe loosening up on their email qualifiers or in-app notifications, or Amazon's going to come out with a way to push the coupon and create the awareness, which will improve the redemption rates for sure.
Sure. Yeah. And one other way that you can drive people back to be able to see this, the coupon that you have with brand tailored promotions is you can layer and build an audience that also targets cart abandoners. And so they will see ads for this product, for the product that they have abandoned in their cart. And then that will drive them back. And then at that point, they can see the promotion. And so this definitely helps to increase or decrease the rate of cart abandonment. When you target them with ads, it's a good reminder. It drives them back. And now they also see the promotion where they can get a discount to purchase.
Yeah, that's great. I see a Google specific question, and then I see a couple specific ones for you, Joe. So let me take this one, and I'll let you jump in here afterwards. This question though is: does Google Ads only make sense for consumable products that have a chance for repeat purchase rate, or how does it work with products that aren't consumable? Yeah, it can certainly work for products that are one-time purchases as well. The things that you're going to want to look for is the how high of intent searches are there on Google. Again, so like the example I walked through, large packing box, right? That product probably doesn't have too much of a repeat purchase rate because that person's probably only moving one time every few years, right? So that can work, but what you're going to want to be thinking about is how high intent are the searches, what are the potential CPCs, and what's my average order value. If CPCs are looking to be $3 and my product's $10, it's going to be tough. Like you're just going to need to have incredibly high add to cart rates to make sure that there's enough potential customers being injected into the funnel and decent conversion rates. Flip side, if it's $1 per click and a $25 price product, yeah, I mean that a decent add to cart rate, decent conversion rate, all of a sudden that can be really beneficial to a solid ACoS and a solid return, but more importantly, getting those customers into your funnel so those coordinated efforts can nurture them and convert them and be profitable customer acquisitions.
Sounds great.
Joe, do you want? Yeah, Joe, I see a couple for
Yeah.
you here. Do you want to jump in?
Yep. So one question is, when should we use sponsored display for retargeting or repurchases, and when should we use Amazon's DSP? And the quick answer for that is sponsored display is a great spot to start. Sponsored display, when you set up these remarketing ads or repurchase ads, they're really easy to get going. They look just like your traditional sponsored ads. And so they're really easy to trial as you go. And so I would start there and see what type of impact that you get from those ads. As you graduate and start spending more on these retargeting ads or start building further up the funnel, at that point, that's when I would consider Amazon's DSP. And the key reason is that you can get much more detailed in how you set up this retargeting. So for instance, if somebody clicks on my product detail page, they're much more likely to purchase in the first 0 to 3 days than they are in 15 to 30 days. And so what we can do is we can increase the frequency that they see ads on and off of Amazon right after they click that product detail page. and then kind of tail that off as we go. Because the further out they go, the less likely they are to purchase. And so this is one of the ways that you can use Amazon's DSP to just get more detailed in how you set up these strategies. It's definitely more complex. So this is why I would always start with sponsored display first, unless you have a big budget that you want to allocate, and then graduate to Amazon's DSP. And at that point, you get more control, but there's more complexity that goes along with that.
Great. I know we're coming up on time here, so we'll probably wrap this up here. Hopefully we got through most of the questions, but we may have missed a few. Joe, any last ones that you want to jump in on and answer before we wrap up?
Let's see. You got a question on what is the average 12 months lifetime value that you would expect for a consumable product, assuming a 2-month cycle for replenishing. So this is a tricky one, and I'm gonna have to give you the it depends answer.
Yeah.
The key reason for that is it really depends on, say, like what type of supplement or what type of consumable product it is. So if it's something that I need to repeatedly take, say it's like a memory supplement or multivitamins or different things like that, I would say shooting for like average repeat rate, like purchase rate of like 3 to 5 could be really good. If you're less than that, now it's trying to figure out ways through advertising, whether it's ways through the product itself that you can try to increase the purchase rates and have them coming back. So this is really important when you get into consumable products. If you can just increase that average purchase rate to like 1 more unit, it can really change the dynamics and the economics on what you're able to do on the advertising and really expand into great strategies like Google to Amazon, or say more upper funnel ads with DSP or other social channels. And so key thing for consumables is trying to drive that repeat purchase rate and really build those loyal customers, because they're going to be worth so much to you overall.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. The depends answer, you hate to say it, but it really does depend, right? Do you have a strategy in place to get that customer to come back, or are you just relying on them to remember you, right? One thing that I always try to encourage people to do is try to leverage your Amazon branded storefront as much as you can, because consumers like brands, right? But so often your average consumer is just kind of buying the first thing they see on Amazon, right? But when you're thinking about lifetime value and repeat purchase rate, if you're able to get them to get to your Amazon storefront, interact with your brand, hear about the brand story, become more familiar. Now, when they need to come back and buy more, you're there, right? You've made them aware of your brand. So I think that's something that I always encourage brands to do, especially when they're thinking about lifetime value and all that, is the more you can get customers to your Amazon branded storefront, the better. Awesome. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Joe, really appreciate you taking the time and walking through the coordinated strategies to really nurture customers throughout their buying journey and even after their buying journey, to get them to purchase again and become a loyal, ongoing customer. Definitely would love to do something with you guys again in the future. And if anyone has any questions to how to implement these strategies, definitely encourage you to reach out to Joe and his team at AdAdvance. If you have any questions about how you can inject good, high quality, high intent traffic into your sales funnel with Amped, give us a shout at amp.io, and we'd be happy to evaluate your products, see if they could be a good fit for Google, and help you guys out there. Thanks everyone for joining, and really appreciate you guys taking the time. Have a good rest of your day.